people going down there to try and experience things.
Yes, we, especially this time of year, we get an awful lot of groups. From now until the end of October, we've got several groups coming down. So yeah, we do. We get quite a lot of people coming down. Big groups, smaller groups. But a lot of people get really, really frightened. And, you know, once the darkness come in and they experience all the energies and everything that's around, then they get a bit frightened and they want to be going.
Crikey. So, I mean, just sort of going back to, you mentioned in the synopsis that I was sent about the show, about that Brenda, as you were investigating this stuff, you was contacted by someone called David Daniels, who may not have been of this earth. You know, it seemed to have kind of magical abilities, almost like, you know, very powerful psychic abilities, stuff like that, and maybe be reptilian. That's a word that's here. I mean, who is this person or being?
Yes, we're putting this in the book, so I'll just talk about it briefly. Yes, I did. I was visited by a guy named David Daniels, and he came and he's on my doorstep, and he looked just like a human being, basically. Blonde hair, very good looking, long arms and everything. And he more or less said that he'd been looking for me. He'd visited one or two other people before he actually contacted me and came to me. But yes, he was with me for 3 months. He lived outside in a caravan. And I did see him change into a reptilian on 3 occasions.
Whoa. Crikey. I mean, so when you say... Yeah, go on. Sorry, Phil.
I was going to say that one of the things is, with regards to the UFO phenomena, is that, many years ago, I mean, I know that the reptilians were spoken about quite a lot, and the first thing that most people would do is laugh. But I'll just point out also, which I've also discovered, is that it's no laughing matter, because this actual man-stroke-reptilian actually infiltrated government, and with Brenda Butler by his side.
Crikey. Because I think I read about this story years and years ago, but I didn't know it was a reptilian. But there was a story of a kind of an ET visitor that had infiltrated government. Because there's a lot of negative press in New Age movement or the ufology about reptilians, isn't there? And some people say that they are the ones that you really want to steer clear of, in a way. But was this...
No, this is something completely different. I mean, this David Daniels had actually met Admiral Lord Hill Norton and actually went with Brenda to make a meeting with him. And Brenda will explain a little bit about what happened.
Well, David phoned up and said to me that I go to London with him because he'd made an appointment to see Lord Hill Norton. So I went up to London to meet David, and we went in after being searched, and this guard asked us if we had a bomb or whatever in our suitcases in my handbag. They searched through my suitcase, they searched through my handbag and everything. And then we were taken into this little room to meet Lord Hill Norton, and he sat one side of the table, David and I sat the other. And David said he'd come to talk about the Pleiades, and I said I'd come to talk about Rendlesham Forest. And Lord Hill Norton said he wasn't a bit interested in Rendlesham Forest because he knew the story, and if it had anything to do with the Americans, then that got bigger and bigger and bigger. But he was interested in the Pleiades. And he was really, really interested in. He said he couldn't help us because if he'd said anything or if he'd gone out of his way to help us or anything, then that'd be his pension on the line. So he was very, very interested in the book too.
Yeah. So with this David Daniels, what kind of abilities did he have?
Sorry?
Sorry, you mentioned that he had sort of superhuman or amazing abilities. I mean, what abilities did he have?
He could any book. I collected UFO books, and I must have had about 500 of them. And any book that you gave him off of my bookshelf, he could read. He didn't even have to open it. He could tell you page by page what was in it. He could read your mind, and he would always know what you were thinking, or he could finish your sentences before you even said them, finished them. He could disappear and reappear. He lived outside in the caravan for 3 months, and not once did he come in to use the toilet, the bathroom, to have a wash, clean clothes or anything, yet he was always absolutely immaculately spotless. He never needed to shave. He only ate sweets, loads and loads and loads of sweets, and green vegetables, and he only drank hot water.
And so when he sort of changed his form, I mean, what sort of appearance did he have?
Well, he used to, when the very first time I saw him, and he was laying on top of the bed, and he said it was about time that he showed me something. And he said, "Don't be frightened." I said, "I'm not frightened. I'm really, really not frightened." And he started to shake. And as he shook, first of all, his face sort of like appeared like sort of like skinny snake skin type stuff, sort of green. And then his eyes went sort of yellowy. And then all his veins stood out all on his hands and on his arms. They really, really stood out. This was only for seconds, but he started talking in a weird language. And then when he came back again, he just asked for sweets. And there was loads of dolly mixtures beside his bed, and I gave him them, and he had to eat loads of sweets to get his energy up. The second time I saw him was in the caravan when he took me back to some of my past lives, and once again he changed, and I saw his arms, and they was the same as his face and everything. They were sort of like scaly and everything.
So where do you think this is all going? Do you think this is all reaching some kind of crescendo in the near future, where perhaps it's all going to get revealed somehow?
He gave me lots of information and lots of knowledge, but I couldn't really tell you what that was because a lot of the stuff has been taken out of my mind. And he said that I would know about it when the time came.
Any connection? Sorry, go on, Phil. Carry on.
I have a theory. I think, with regards to this case with Brenda and all the people who were involved with and David Daniels has been seen and by a lot of other top UFO researchers. He sought them out. Now, I think that in this case, and it surely would show in many other cases, is that this particular person, or should I say extraterrestrial, was after information and had come to these people to extract that information, but also give information. And we believe that Brenda's been given something that's locked in her mind because and I'm absolutely sure that later on that information will be activated. So, it just goes to show that, the star systems, the Pleiades, the Orion star system, the Lyra star system, and all those other different star systems have their own forms of life or own intelligences, and they've had problems on them. So it's possible that David Daniels has come as an ambassador for his people and try to get the information for his people, and along the way help some of us as well too.
I agree. I mean, there's something I agree with you that you wrote in the book Believe as well, is that they're not just coming here now; they've always been here. Always back through history. You made a really good quote in your book that just made me think, and that was the thing about the sun. Why do we shy away from our sun?
Correct.
We're not designed for our own sun, are we? In a way, and you think a lot of the ETs are portrayed as white-skinned, blonde hair. So it kind of makes you think: are we, descendants from those?
Well, absolutely. I mean, every single time you try to put a fact like this across to the general public, they don't want to know because they've been educated in a very simplistic way to see things the way that they are. Now, I've always maintained that if we were original descendants from this planet, we would not in any way shy away from our own sun. All the creatures and animals don't, and we're the only ones that do. And I believe that, I don't believe that me and Brenda will be considered conspiracy theorists or people that want a mystery. I think that's just a cop-out from higher organizations to try and make us people look stupid. What I will say is that there's a lot more also about the moon. And we're not going to go into that because it's too vast. But, most people would believe that, like, they had a moon landing, and they probably did, but the version we were shown was a staged version. And people are now, all those years later, coming forward and saying, that looks suspect, And so that if you said to someone in 1969 that moon landing was a fake, they'll all laugh at you. But they're not laughing now, are they?
It's almost like it wasn't a fake. Perhaps we went there, but the photos were staged.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Because some people say that perhaps those there was things in the background that they didn't want us to see, or photography wouldn't have gone through, it wouldn't have survived the radiation or something like that. And you can see some pictures where the Earth almost appears in the wrong place, or there's wrong lighting.
Yeah, well, the thing I've always